Alexandria, 346 AD. The streets buzz with rumor. After years in exile, Athanasius is coming home. Some whisper he will arrive quietly, humbled by imperial decree. Others insist he will stride into the city as if he had never been gone. Bishop, elder, defender of the Nicene Creed. But exile leaves its mark. Athanasius faced emperors and councils, officials who wanted him silenced. He wrote by candlelight, sending letters into the desert where monks read his words as marching orders for the faith. And the allies scattered. Enemies grew bold. His name became a rallying cry for some, a curse for others, and now as he returns to Alexandria, one question hangs over the city. Can one embattled bishop turn the tide against a heresy claiming the Son is a created being, or has the battle already been lost? From the That's Jesus channel, welcome to Coach, where church origins and church history actually coach us how to walk boldly with Jesus today. I'm Bob Balch. On Monday, we stay between 0 and 500 AD. In this episode, we're in the year 346 AD and tracing the return of Athanasius from exile as he defends the Nicene Creed against the Arian heresy, a stand that shapes how the church confesses Jesus as truly God. Now, Alexandria in the early 300s had a boy named Athanasius. Growing up on the streets, he was filled with arguments about God, and by the time he was a young man, he had already been at the center of the storm. In 325, he served as a deacon at the Council of Nicaea, where the air buzzes with tension. A presbyter named Arius insisted that the Son was a created being less than the Father. The bishops answered with a creed, words simple enough for children to memorize, yet strong enough to anchor the faith. Quote, begotten, not made, being of one substance with the Father, end quote. 3 years later, Athanasius is Bishop of Alexandria, carrying that creed like a banner, and his conviction draws enemies. Emperor Constantius II favors the Arians, and councils are convened, accusations fly, and Athanasius is driven into exile. From hiding in 339, he writes in defense of the Son's full divinity, not as ivory tower speculation, but as gospel protection. In On the Incarnation, he paints pictures farmers and fishermen could grasp. Just as a king's presence brings safety to a city, so Jesus' presence brings redemption to the world. Monks in the Egyptian desert pick up his cause. His Life of Antony turns their stories into inspiration, and in turn, they spread his letters like wildfire. Orthodoxy is no longer just a creed on paper. It becomes a movement rooted in prayer and sacrifice. Meanwhile, Arius' message keeps catching ears. His simple choruses echo in markets and on ships. If the Father is eternal, the Son must have come later, is what it says. It sounds logical, easy to hum, but simplicity can be dangerous. And that's why the language of the Nicaea matters. It cuts through the slogans. Jesus is not created. He is eternal with the Father. So by the mid-340s, bishops in the West realize that silencing Athanasius weakened the Nicene cause, and they prepare to take him back, setting the stage for his return. Alexandria stirs, and news it spreads that the bishops in Rome and Gaul are pressing for Athanasius to be restored. Suddenly, the Nicene cause feels less isolated. When Athanasius reappears in the pulpit, the crowd leans in, and his voice rings with the creed's power. Quote, true God from true God, end quote. The stakes could not be higher. If Christ were only a creature, salvation would reach only so far. But if he is God himself, then God has stepped into human history to save, and that message electrifies congregations. Yet politics press back. Constantius II still favors compromise. Officials watch, they whisper, they maneuver, and some churches hesitate, torn between loyalty to their bishop and fear of the palace. In 343, the bishops gather again. The hall fills with tension as East and West collide. When many Eastern bishops storm out, the Western leaders stay. Led by Julius of Rome, they declare Athanasius the rightful bishop, and they condemn the campaign against him. The council cannot settle the empire's division, but its message rings clear. The West is standing with Athanasius. Letters continue to flow from his hand into monasteries and villages. A church historian would later write how Athanasius' steadiness in these years emboldened countless believers. The controversy is no longer just about words on parchment. It is a test of courage, of conviction, a battle for the very heart of the gospel. Crowds packed churches to hear this bishop who would not bend. Athanasius preached with urgency. The Son is not merely a creature, but truly eternal with the Father, sharing the Father's very essence. And to him, this was not just about winning the argument, it was about guarding the heart of the gospel. If Jesus were less than God, we would be left with less than full redemption. His courage rallied monks, clergy, and everyday believers. Alexandria became a beacon of clear confession. Jesus worshiped as true God without hesitation. Now, behind the scenes, politics shaped the moment. Constans, emperor in the West, pressured his brother Constantius II in the East. Constans favored Nicene bishops and demanded Athanasius be restored, but his brother, sympathetic to the Arians, resisted. When Constans threatened military action, his brother yielded. Thus, Athanasius' return in 346 was not only a spiritual triumph, but also a sign of how high the stakes had risen. Two emperors divided, and a single bishop caught between them. Yet Athanasius knew more trials would come. Constans' support could not last forever, and Constantius' hostility had not disappeared. Still, his homecoming lit a fire of courage. It showed the church that emperors might influence, but they could not finally define what faith was. If fresh persecution arrived, would the faithful stand firm, or would fear undo the progress? The faithful stood. When Athanasius walked back into Alexandria in 346, the city did not merely gain a bishop, it found its voice again. Streets, once quiet with fear, filled with songs of praise. Monks carried his letters like torches into the desert. Bishops, who had once trembled, found backbone again. Ordinary believers realized that their faith was not on life support, it was alive. That season of courage did not erase all division, of course, but it proved something unforgettable. Truth can outlast exile. Athanasius' witness rippled through later councils, anchoring the Nicene Creed as the heartbeat of Christian confession. Whenever emperors tried to bend the church's voice, his story shouted back, God's truth is stronger than your politics. And across centuries, his life keeps reminding us, orthodoxy never comes cheap. It is not won by applause, but by sacrifice. Faithfulness will cost you. It cost Athanasius sleepless nights. It cost him the sneers of the powerful and years away from his home. Yet he never surrendered the truth about Jesus. So what about us? Where are you tempted to keep silent? In your workplace? At your school? Even among friends? Because confessing Christ feels costly? The invitation is not to shout louder, but to stand steadier, to live with courage rooted in Scripture, carried with humility. The question is not whether compromise would be easier, it always is. The question is whether Jesus is worth everything, worth standing firm when the world wavers, worth carrying his name, even if it costs you comfort. If this story of Athanasius' exile and return challenged or encouraged you, like, comment, and share it with a friend. They might really need to hear it. Leave a review on your podcast app, and don't forget to follow Coach for more episodes every week. Check out the show notes. It has the full transcript and sources used for the episode. And if you look closely, you'll find some contrary opinions in there too. We do that on purpose. The Amazon links can help you get resources for your own library while giving me a little bit of a kickback as an Amazon associate I earn from qualifying purchases. You never know what we'll cover next on Coach. Every episode dives into a different corner of church history, but on Mondays, we stay between 0 and 500 AD. And if you'd rather access these stories on YouTube, of course, check us out at the That's Jesus channel. Thanks for listening to Coach, where church origins and church history actually coach us how to walk boldly with Jesus today. I'm Bob Balch with the That's Jesus channel. Have a great day and be blessed. You know, I tried reciting the Nicene Creed from memory. Yeah, I'm no Athanasius. Not happening.